It is Wednesday, and it is 2 o'clock, so that can only mean one thing. It is time for So What's the Catch here on the So What's the Catch Facebook page or wherever you are watching us or listening to us on YouTube, podcast platforms, whatever. So it is draft week. You guys excited for this?
Of course.
I mean, the Browns aren't really in it.
Always excited to talk football, but the Browns are in it just because they don't have a first round.
Second round.
Yeah, they're still in it.
Second round picks are very valuable, Churk.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. JOK, second round pick. Greedy Williams, second round
Yeah,
pick.
bro.
Greg Delpit, second round pick, was useful last year.
You were hating on Greedy Williams.
Because the dude hadn't played in like a year and a half, and he looked like he has a shoulder made out of glass. Sorry. I mean, he had nerve damage in his shoulder. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, it just takes one hit, and he has no feeling in his arm anymore, and he's done.
Yeah, we have a problem with drafting often injured defensive backs for whatever reason.
Healthy.
Yeah. It seems like any DBs we've gotten through the draft have had at least some major injury issues.
Yeah. It feels like any player we draft has some type of issue or something.
That's football.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But we'll get to the draft stuff a little bit later. First, we're going to start with the NBA playoffs, which the Nets are out. They got swept.
The Cavs should have been in it.
The same thing would have happened to us, bro. Same
And it would have been uglier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As much as I would have loved to have seen the Cavs in that series against the Celtics, we wouldn't have done much better than Brooklyn did. We would have gotten
gotten 1 or 2 wins.
No, they wouldn't have.
The Celtics would have won in 3 somehow.
Yeah, they would have won in 3. They would have been mercied, is what would have happened. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's look at how the teams are put together. The Nets have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Those are 2 superstars. The Cavs don't have one yet. Maybe Mobley gets there.
They got Garland.
Maybe Garland gets there. But
Maybe
they're not there yet. You know,
right.
They're not proven superstars yet. So
right. I mean,
really good point.
Garland made the All-Star game, but that doesn't make you an All-Star caliber player. Like, you need to, just because you make one All-Star team doesn't mean anything.
I would agree with that, especially when it's in Cleveland. You kind of doubt in that situation,
right? And the only reason Jared Allen even got into the All-Star game is because James Harden got injured and couldn't play, so he was an All-Star replacement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that happens every year. Wherever the All-Star game is, there's always going to be a guy that gets in that probably doesn't have any business being there.
Because they want to appease the hometown that's there.
I mean, they do more often than not. Very rarely does the hometown crowd not get a little bit of a nod, or at least a way for them to get into it. But it's like this in every sport.
Yeah.
It just takes a real dickhead not to not do the right thing. But it happens.
Are you basically saying these All-Star games are rigged, James?
No, I'm saying 1, they're pointless, but 2, that a lot of times, even though the right thing to do would be to have the nod to the home team, a lot of times they don't.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. And it also has a lot to do with the market, and the marketability of the player.
They were really nice to Cleveland this year.
Yeah, I mean,
I was surprised.
Very likable team. This was a team that overperformed expectations. So we had a lot of people rooting for us in that underdog sort of way.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that kind of made it a little bit more special, and it gave those guys a little bit more of a nod.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at this Nets Celtics series, I think there's a solid argument that going into it, this was the most intriguing first round series maybe in NBA history.
And on top of it is the Ben Simmons conspiracy.
The conspiracy, is that what we're
What
calling
conspiracy? The dude didn't play. I
Yeah.
played as many minutes as Ben Simmons did, okay?
Some people question whether he was really injured or not. That's all.
All four of us combined have played as many minutes in this first round series as Ben Simmons did.
I mean, what purpose would him like pretending to be hurt have? How does that benefit the Nets?
Yeah, that's the one part I don't understand. Like, maybe he didn't want to play, but I don't think it had anything to do with, faking injury or anything like that.
Now, if they're playing the Sixers, maybe I'd buy into this conspiracy.
Yeah,
But
I don't either.
they weren't. They're playing the Celtics.
Mhm.
I was just making fun of the fans who are making it that.
Well, you have those crazy people in every fan base.
Mhm.
Right. I
Did
mean,
Ben Simmons not say that he was having some issues, like emotional, mental issues?
Yeah, he's been having a lot of mental issues.
Right. So, there's some stuff going on there with him that obviously he's trying to work through. So I don't think it's him faking anything, really. I just think that they were down 3-0. A team's never overcame a 3-0 deficit. The point of going in, I don't feel great, and we're probably not going to win this series. It's like it kind of made more sense for them to just keep him out because they never had a chance in this series.
right.
He hasn't played with those guys.
Right.
So, I mean, you see certain teams and, they might be out with one of their best players for a while or out with someone for a while, and they try and reintegrate them during the playoffs, and a lot of times it doesn't work. And they simply stop being effective. Or in the case of one player on the Nets, Kevin Durant, he blows out his Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, he sat for how many games in that playoff run to the finals? He didn't play in all of them.
No.
He missed at least a series
because
of his injury. Then he came back. He had his little dance he did in the locker room on the way, which with how everything unfolded in that game is just like, you're happy now, but man, you're going to be mad in about an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, you saw that, and that'll happen sometimes. Then Ben Simmons in the back of his head, like, I don't want to have a season-ending injury for next year. I'm at a very pivotal point in my career.
Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with the position of the Nets in that series. To me, it made sense. It was a smart move, if anything, by Ben Simmons if he did decide to keep himself out. Because, like you said, it wasn't going to impact the series in any way. And obviously, he doesn't feel great. He has no experience practicing with these guys yet. So what's the point of throwing him in there and risking him re-injuring something or, having some sort of bad game due to a mental issue or whatever it is? There's no point in him going out there and doing that.
Right. I know there are some people questioning whether the legitimacy of the mental issues thing. I'm not one of them, but I know that's also going around.
Yeah, of course. People have their opinions one way or the other on the issue. I just think that we should be empathetic of that because, when we look at athletes in the past and how they've been treated in these situations, usually it's not good. And it seems like there's been this concerted effort to give it more attention, like with the Simone Biles situation with the Olympics.
I'm pretty sure back in the day they had the mental issues. They just lied about it and called it an injury.
Of course.
They probably called it an injury they had in their past to make it somewhat legit. That's my guess of what they probably did back in the day with the mental.
The more I guess realistic thing that would have happened is they would have suppressed all that shit and just drank it away or did a ton of drugs.
Exactly.
Okay?
I think some lied about an injury.
Sure, maybe some did, but as far as the mental thing goes, it's alcohol, drugs, and God knows what else they got into.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my. Yeah. It was a crazy time back in the day.
I just think that these two situations should be treated similarly. Like if you're willing to accept it, with the Simone Biles situation, why wouldn't you be able to accept it from Ben Simmons? And to me, it's because people have preconceived notions about Ben as a person, and they don't. It's a lot of people that have hated on Ben Simmons his whole career. So it's like, are you really going to take their opinion seriously from the beginning?
Right. And I think part of the reason for that, Bryan, is because he seems to have a track record of quote unquote quitting on his team. Like he quit on the 76ers, and some people think he's already quitting on the Nets, even though he hasn't played a minute for them. I'm not at that point yet.
Right.
But like some people think he even quit on LSU when he came out of the draft, or when he came out of LSU to go to the draft, I should say.
People have painted a narrative of him his entire career being
exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't make it true, but you're right. That has been the narrative.
You mentioned the quitting on LSU thing to go into the draft. Like, if you would have been a second rounder, that is something to even make noteworthy. The dude was the first overall pick. Right. If you're the first overall pick in anything, and your options are stay somewhere else that doesn't really benefit you at all another year, or go be the first overall pick, go be the first overall pick. Don't fuck around. Go get the money. Go get paid. Go make yourself career-wise.
He doesn't have first overall pick shooting.
Who gives a shit? That doesn't matter.
You know, he still knew he was going. He went. It was the right decision. Is the point. You know, in hindsight, like you said, if you would have slipped down, you know, for whatever reason, out of the top 10 or whatever, and then sure, maybe. But yeah, it was the first overall goddamn pick. Like, and you're gonna hold it against him that he went. I mean, what happens if he has an injury next season at LSU, or he just has a bad year or a down year, or doesn't progress, you know, or doesn't progress the way that people think he should have, and then he slips out of the first round completely? Like, things happen. So to put that at risk, like it's just a smart decision by Ben, and I think this is another instance of him making a smart decision, and because people have already painted this narrative of him. It's confirmation bias. It's, well, I think Ben Simmons is a quitter. I've been calling him a quitter. So now that he has this issue, that fits my narrative. So he's a quitter.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Were you expecting this series to go the full 7, though, or did you think it was going to kind of go this way with Boston dominating the series like they did?
I thought it was going to go to probably maybe 5 or 6. I didn't think so.
I honestly thought it would be a 6 or 7 game series. I'll admit that.
I thought it would be probably 5 games, but honestly, I thought it would be going the other direction.
How far do you think Boston can go? Let's talk about Boston.
Well, considering that they kicked that bum Brad Stevens to the curb and he's no longer their head coach, and they have an actual good head coach in Emi Udoka, who knows how far they can go? Because the story's been on the Celtics. They flame out or they get beat by a lesser team every single year. This was a prime moment for Brad Stevens to completely flop in the first round of the playoffs, and that didn't happen because he's not there.
Right.
The coaching change has done wonders for this team.
I mean, he was a role player in the NBA, and it seems like a lot of those guys seem to be good head coaches.
Yeah, and for everybody out there who thinks that NBA head coaches don't matter, like
they do.
It's time for you to come have a seat at the adults table and realize that it does. And Boston is 100% case in point why it matters. That first series, it encapsulates that perfectly.
I think to expand on that point, Brian, I think it goes both ways in this series because you had Ime Udoka, who, like, all the Celtics players seem to have bought into the way he's coaching and all that, and you see how they're playing. You have many people picking them to come out of the East now, which I think that we're on a collision course for Golden State against Boston in the NBA Finals, but that's a different discussion for a different day. But then on the other hand,
because the Warriors will win that series. I don't want that to happen. So
the Warriors won't win that series.
The Warriors will win that series.
You know why I'm saying that, right?
Why?
To beat the Cavs.
Who cares? But the Warriors will win that series if they play the Celtics.
Anyway, on the other end of the spectrum, you have Steve Nash, who was put in this kind of awkward situation where, like, you had Kyrie saying, like, "Oh, we don't need a head coach; we can coach ourselves." And so I think the Nets kind of bent to Kyrie's demands a little bit and said, okay, you don't need a coach. We'll go out and hire somebody who has no head coaching experience. I don't even know if Steve Nash has an ounce of coaching experience, period.
I have no idea. I think you're being nice calling him Steve Nash because the internet has taken to calling him Steve Trash. Okay?
They have.
I mean, as an owner, not as a player, or not owner. I mean,
As a
The
coach.
coach, yeah.
Nobody's questioning his ability as a player, but his coaching ability is definitely up for discussion now.
Right.
It is. And if you're going to have a team with the, the appeal, the premier spot in the NBA in regards to how highly regarded they are and how much respect they have around the league, I think having a new coach or a guy with little experience is a terrible idea.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the only reason it worked in Miami is because Pat Riley is still heavily involved in that team. Okay,
I mean,
that's the only reason Eric Spoelstra worked.
The reason why they have
Look at all the other guys. I mean, who was the kid that LeBron got fired the year after he was there?
In Miami.
Luke Walton.
Yeah.
Luke Walton got kicked to the curb.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they even won a title with fucking Frank Vogel, and they kicked him to the curb. You know why? Because they're not going to push back on these guys. They're afraid to.
Right.
And I also want to point out with Steve Nash, that was Kevin. I think that's because him and Kevin Durant had a good personal relationship.
They did because Nash worked with the Warriors, I believe, as a shooting.
Yeah.
Some shit.
Yeah.
So they built a relationship there. But you need some guy that is going to stand up to these people, and they're not going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they challenge the coach on something, the coach isn't going to fire back, or the coach might not even challenge the player because of who they are.
They also, on that extreme, can't go to the too much of that military style either. So you need to find a mix in between.
It's not even a military style type thing. It's just having to know that you're the coach in this situation. You to be telling them what to do.
There is ones who are just unreasonable though.
Some are, and those are the ones that get fired. Okay, right. But when you have the Durant and Kyrie on this team with the high expectations, they did have James Harden for a minute, and they flop like this. And you look at the coach, and
he's got to hold his ground at times. You're right. You can't.
You need
them
someone.
all over you. You're not wrong.
Look what happened in Miami if LeBron or Dwayne Wade or Chris Bosh got pissed off at Eric Spoelstra. Pat Riley's coming down to smack some heads and be like, get in line.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Even though Riley wasn't the coach, he still pulled a lot of weight in that building.
Yeah.
You need structure as a team, and part of that structure is, it has to have a chain of command. There has to be a chain of command. And when you hire a guy as a head coach, you want that guy to be the one that is leading the team and not following, and Steve Nash is more of a guy that they brought in that was going to be a player's guy. The players are going to like him. If they've got an objection to something, he'll probably let them have their way. You know what I mean? And we're seeing now it doesn't work in the NBA. It just doesn't.
It doesn't.
You got to be a player
in LA, and it's a failed experiment in Brooklyn. So
the only time that strategy has worked that I can remember is Ty Lue with the Cavs.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it is they're colossal failures everywhere.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah,
I remember back 15 years ago, I think the Pistons hired Michael Curry as their coach after they got rid of the guy who used to coach the Timberwolves. I can't remember his name.
Flip Saunders?
Yeah, after they got rid of Flip Saunders, they hired Michael Curry, and they flopped so hard, and he lasted one season.
Yeah.
I
think you also have to look at this Brooklyn situation, the fact that, Kyrie took the actions that he did, and so at first he was only allowed to play road games, and then eventually he was allowed to play both home and away. But if I remember correctly, the whole team only got to play 21 games together. So that's not a lot of continuity. So, of course,
it's not, and you're right, it's not a whole lot of continuity. I think they, even when they saw James Harden in the mix, they played all of 13 games together.
Exactly.
Is absurd when you think about it. But the whole playing road games and playing home, that's such a just – it's not an issue anymore, okay?
I'm not saying it is.
He had the ability to play other places. He had the ability to practice elsewhere if he chose so. Like, he's already played with, Durant before. He's already played with some of the other guys on the team through various other things, whether it be pickup games or Olympic team or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not foreign to these players. It's not like in the 80s where you haven't played with this guy ever and you're kind of thrust in a situation they say, best of luck.
Right.
Yeah, some of these guys grow up together in AAU.
Yeah, a ton of them do.
Yeah, a lot of
They didn't go that far.
So.
Yeah, I get. No, James, I totally understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree. So, I'm just saying no. But anyway, looking at some of the other series, Miami defeated Atlanta in 5.
Not surprising.
Yeah. Miami shut down Trae Young in this series. That, for them to even win game 5, last night without Jimmy Butler and without Kyle Lowry. So Miami was without their starting backcourt. For the Heat to win that game, that shows me something.
Yeah, I just think that the Hawks just aren't that good, in my opinion.
That was a lucky year last season.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Trae Young is overrated?
No.
I don't think Trae Young's overrated, but I think the Hawks team as a whole is overrated.
Yeah.
Look back comparatively to the early LeBron Cavs, where they were winning a ton of games, and it was because of LeBron and like the half leg that Big Z still had. Okay, that was it. We had a moment with Drew Gooden. Daniel Marshall was a thing. Sasha Pavlovich. I mean, look at all these clowns that he played with. And
Daniel Gibson.
The reason they're winning, it's not because of the other guys. It's because LeBron was the best player on the team and on the court. Trae Young is the best player on his team by far, and at times the best player on the court.
Was Larry Hughes injured when he was on the Cavs?
Larry Hughes probably. I mean, he was largely useless, but
I mean, he was good before then. So do you think LeBron stunted his growth? Maybe.
No, Larry Hughes stunk. I mean, that's the same crap argument
He
people
had
tried
20
with
points
J.R.
per game
Smith
before
10
he
years
entered
later.
the Cavs. So that's why I asked that.
LeBron has never made a player anything other than better. He's either had a non-impact on a player or he
Kyle Kuzma?
What? Who cares? Who gives a shit about Kyle Kuzma?
I was just saying him because that was a player that his growth was stunted because of LeBron.
I mean,
I don't think Kyle Kuzma's that good. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, LeBron didn't do anything to Kyle Kuzma.
No.
That's a crazy notion.
Yeah. But
you're acting like he's taking like a lead pipe to his shin and being like, "You're not
an arrogant situation."
Brandon Ingram.
Okay,
you didn't steal his talent.
Sure, you're listing off guys that are like nice secondary and tertiary pieces. You're not naming off stars here, okay?
Right.
I mean, the impact and the effectiveness that those players will have are more dependent on who they're playing with, not in regards to their own ability. Okay, like look at that entire Lakers young core that NBA Twitter did nothing but masturbate to for 3 years, and you're gonna just look and see where they are now, and it's just like, yeah, they're good secondary, third, fourth players. They're nothing special.
I remember that.
Okay.
I remember when they had Lonzo Ball, and they were hyping up. They were hyping
Where
up
are they now?
Julius Randle.
That single one is on that team still, number one. Number two, they're all elsewhere being like, yeah, that guy plays for that team now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not wrong, right?
I mean,
Churk,
I'll back you up a little bit on Brandon Ingram, actually.
What about when they had Robert Sacre?
Churk, I'm trying to help
the other guy.
Churk, I'm trying to help you here, dude.
All right.
So, I'll back you up a little bit on Brandon Ingram because
Thank you.
Because I'm not fully defending you, but I'm just saying when he did get to New Orleans, he's turned into a nice player. Made the All-Star team this year.
James.
Once they got CJ to pair with him, he's developed into a nice, solid player. The Pelicans are pushing the Phoenix Suns right to their absolute limit. I don't think New Orleans is ultimately going to win the series against Phoenix. But all I'm saying is Ingram has
Just you wait.
has
Just you
developed
wait, Churk.
That's all.
Thank you, Josh.
I just want to hear one way that LeBron made him worse. You know what I mean? Like
Kevin
there
Love.
is one, and here's why. Because I have the numbers in front of me. Okay. He took a nice little leap from 16 points to 18 points a game in his only season with LeBron as his teammate. He shot a still career high 49.7% from the field. He made, let's see,
LeBron was injured during this time.
2.1% of his 2-point attempts.
LeBron was injured during this time. He got injured.
He had
half
an
that
effective
season.
field goal percentage of 51.8. Minus to his career up to that point.
He got injured that season. I remember LeBron got injured that season.
So did Brandon Ingram. He only played 52 games.
Wait, James, I never said I agreed with Churk about LeBron making.
Here's what I'm saying is that he shot more this year, his first season with LeBron, and he was more productive compared to the season prior.
All right. Speaking of Brandon Ingram, let's talk about that Pelicans.
Okay, Pelicans Suns. This is for me. This has been the most surprising series. I thought Phoenix was just gonna walk over the New Orleans Pelicans. I thought, okay, New Orleans has some nice players, but Phoenix is just on a different level. I thought Phoenix was gonna win every game by 20 plus.
We also thought Devin Booker was healthy. Yeah, Devin Booker got hurt. That's this whole series is all contingent on that one injury. Like to think that this series would look this way if he was still healthy, I think would be dishonest. Like I think that they probably sweep easy. So
I agree with you.
It's an indictment on the Suns playing poorly. It's just that they're missing their best player right now. So what do you expect? You know, when you're missing the guy that makes the whole thing go. You know.
The talent gap between the teams is significantly smaller without Devin Booker there.
Right.
Agreed.
And so that's the only reason why this is even a competitive series.
Yeah. It's
like nobody in their right mind would be like, I'm going to pick the Pelicans to beat the Suns because it's dumb.
Yeah.
Even with Zion Williamson in their lineup, nobody would pick the Pelicans to beat the Suns.
No.
Yeah.
Zion is so frustrating because you see like the Pelicans keep holding him out, and yet he keeps posting these videos on his social media platforms of him doing like windmill dunks and stuff like that. It's like, okay, you're healthy enough to do that, but you can't suit up. Like
he doesn't want to play for Pelicans.
From my understanding, this is a Pelicans decision, not a Zion decision. And
I think Zion doesn't want to play for them.
I mean, would you want to play for the Pelicans?
I mean, it would be grateful to know after Anthony Davis left, I'm the next guy there.
Yeah, because before Anthony Davis left, Chris Paul left. Okay, let's not forget about
when
that.
They were the Hornets,
but it was still the same franchise.
Yeah, it's still the same franchise all the way around.
So he left. Then they draft Anthony Davis, and he's great. Then he leaves, and now they draft Zion Williamson. He's like, well, I'm next, so just gotta wait.
I think he just wants to get traded. I don't even think he wants to wait for his next extension.
I mean, the dude's got to start playing first. I mean, second, look
play
at
more, eat less. Play more, eat less.
I think he really is.
The dude is so overweight.
I think he's trying to eat his way out of the team.
Well, the difference between Zion doing it and James Harden is James Harden showed that he's one of the best players in the league. Zion has showed impressive stretches at times, but nowhere near him having a bad weekend and gaining 20 pounds because he ate nothing but donuts and drank beer. That's not going to get him out of town.
It's possible though that some of these players just gain weight because of stress in those organizations, not even eating bad.
Yeah,
not Zion.
But a lot of people to gain weight, sure, but I don't think that's probably more of a exception than a rule, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the one thing, like, what's the one thing that everyone said about Zion that he needs to get under control when he got drafted? It was weight.
Mm-hmm.
he's gotten progressively heavier.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's not like trying to like give him a hard time because he's overweight. It's like, listen, like the one thing everyone was concerned about was your weight.
Yeah.
You have done nothing to address that.
No, he
Right.
hasn't.
And
So-
you get a guy like LeBron too, who used to be a bigger guy, who knew if he wanted to extend his career and remain healthy, like he needed to get thinner. You know,
He probably was like a good 280 at his like heyday.
LeBron.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure, he's huge.
like I think he was a good 280. Like
I don't know about 280,
Yeah,
but
that's
he was up there. He was a big dude.
Right.
maybe 275.
Sure. What are we at, a carnival? Are we-
We're
Where-
gonna get a prize if we get within 5 pounds.
No,
Yeah, I was gonna
don't.
say, are we,
Let's move on from this.
Okay.
all right. Did you guys watch any of that Timberwolves Grizzlies game 5 last night?
I did.
No, was there another protester?
No.
That's all I care about.
It
yeah.
was a fantastic. Minnesota once again blew another double-digit lead. And Memphis won in the final seconds.
Does the
Because the
Timberwolves have
Timberwolves
any?
suck.
They don't have any business in this playoffs.
The Timberwolves suck. Let's just stick with that because that seems to be the most accurate here.
Carl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell and what's his name?
Anthony
Anthony
Edwards.
Edwards. Those three are cool.
Yeah,
Anthony Edwards might be something. I have no idea.
Those
But,
three are
like,
cool.
Carl Anthony Towns ain't that guy. D'Angelo Russell, he's fine, but he's a bench guy.
No,
Right.
he's not. I think he's a good starter.
He's
Okay.
not a good starter. He's of the same I guess.
Caliber.
He's the same. He's the same traits as like Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson.
I knew
All
you were
that
gonna
same
say
group of guys, and
Yeah.
that's a fine guy off the bench. That's not a starter.
Right.
That's a fair criticism. But Churk, I want to ask you about Carl Anthony Towns. Why does he always look like an out of control truck that just runs over everybody?
He can't play defense for some weird reason, but yeah, he.
No,
just
I'm
looks-
talking about offensively because that's how he's like getting all his fouls in this series. It seems like just about every play. Oh, Carl Anthony Towns called for an offensive foul. Next Timberwolves possession. Oh, Carl Anthony Towns called for an offensive foul.
because he's a bum. is what James said. I don't think he's a bum.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You don't
For
think
those
he's
of
had
you-
good
Bum, and then followed it up with, I don't think he's a bum.
For those of you
No, the
that-
guy's a 3-time All-Star for a reason.
Who the fuck gives a shit about an all-star besides you, man?
Good Lord.
Churk,
Nobody
have a-
on earth other than you gives a shit about friggin'
Oh, like if you hear ESPN, they say that.
The fuck
Yeah, because
ESPN.
ESPN sucks. They
That
also
is
just
why.
wake up and just yell things at each other, and it makes no sense. And
Yeah, I don't give a shit what the so-called worldwide leader says about pretty much anything.
Mickey
They,
Mouse
they
organization.
used to be good back in the day.
Well, now Disney owns them. Mickey Mouse is running around there in
That's been
Connecticut
good, like-
and making all the decisions. And
It's been good in almost half my lifetime. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it was good back in the days when I thought First Take used to be good back.
First
in the
Take was
day.
always terrible. Even the show before First Take, Cold Pizza was terrible. Okay.
yeah,
Or how about Chris Berman talking?
Okay,
about-
cool. We get the little whoop noises. We get him doing the circle the wagons. Who cares about All-Star games? I don't give a shit about All-Star games.
What about All NBA third team?
care more about
I-
that.
Those shows on ESPN, they're just not good.
No,
They're not.
Why are we suddenly talking about ESPN?
Because Churk started talking about ESPN or something. I don't know.
Anyways, back to the conversation at hand. I'll bring it back.
All right. But
I think I saw that John Morant dunk last night. That was amazing.
it was a nice dunk, but I don't get it with John Morant. He's been like all year he was the one saying, "We want the smoke and look at us," and all that. And yet for half of the series, he hasn't shown up. And Churk just left.
What the hell?
I don't know.
Anyway,
The Grizzlies are up 3-2. I'm not going to be worried about anything.
Yeah, he looks great in my opinion.
They're a team on the rise. This is what you expect out of a team
Hey, you're back.
like the Grizzlies.
Yeah, sorry, technical difficulties there.
All
Okay.
good.
Yeah, Grizzlies should win this series.
Yeah, Grizzlies could make a
Timberwolves stinks.
dark horse. Could be a dark horse.
To come out of the West,
Yeah.
No.
No.
I think Steph
No.
Curry, Steph, Clay, Draymond. I think the Warriors
No.
win that series.
Yeah, I
don't
think so
think
too.
so.
Handily.
I think Ja's got that hunger in him.
I like what the Grizzlies have. They have some nice pieces. They have John Morant, Desmond Bain, Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson Jr., Tyus Jones, Xavier Tillman. Dylan Brooks. I like a lot of their players, and they're a nice story. I think they're keeping a new trend in the NBA going that hopefully the Cavs can follow. Maybe not as well, maybe not to the same extent the Grizzlies are doing it, but there seems to be a new trend in the NBA. I just wrote an article about that for the fan side, so I'll send that out. But I just don't think it's a good matchup for the Grizzlies against Golden State in the next round. I really don't.
Yeah,
The Western Conference is going to come down to two teams: the Suns and the Warriors. Everyone else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Come on.
the health of Devin Booker is the biggest question mark right now. But if he's back and he's healthy, that's the only team that can seriously contend with the Warriors in the West.
I 100% agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Some of these other teams are good. They got some great young players, but they're not ready yet.
No,
Not ready yet.
no, they're not.
Too early for them.
Exactly.
John Morant's awesome. I love John Morant. I think he deserved the Most Improved Player award. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But he's still super young. He hasn't really proven anything yet. So
Right. I agree with you 100%, Brian. But like you said, I'm fine with him winning Most Improved Player. I mean, the Grizzlies went from being the number 8 seed last season to the number 2 seed that in the West this season. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But like you said, he hasn't proven anything yet. Could he be on the way to being a all-star, maybe even superstar caliber player? Sure, but I'm not ready to put that title on him yet.
You just made an all-star.
So what?
You just said all-star caliber player. So all-stars do matter, Josh.
it was a slip of the tongue.
Whatever.
I'm not even entertaining this nonsense.
Okay, wait.
What other series do we have to get through here?
The Bulls versus the Bucks.
Bucks are going to win Game 5 tonight. It's not even a question. Zach LaVine's out. Lonzo Ball is out. Yeah. This series
DeRozan's there.
Put the Bulls out of their misery so we can get suicidal Big Cat and let's just go on and move on.
Exactly.
DeRozan had a good year this year.
okay. Cool.
I don't give a shit. Just get this series over with. The longer it goes on, the longer that we have to deal with nonsense. Just knock the Bulls out. Let's get it over with.
Okay. And
They
Golden
were a
State.
fraud all season long.
Yeah. Really?
To an
Wow.
extent. I mean, they like a lot of people thought that they were like really going to compete to come out of the East.
I did.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I thought they were.
They
At
were
first.
first when they were up there in the first place range for a while.
But that was the same time the Cavs were like a half game back of first place.
I
So
remember
you
that.
don't feel
During
that
that time, a lot of people were super high on them and thought that they were going to make a run at it, and I just thought they were never that good.
Yeah. I felt
I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm just saying like the hype that was way too high back then, just like it was on the Cavs.
I
And,
understand what you're saying, Churk. Wow. I just had a Churk moment. I understand what you're saying, Brian. I apologize, my dude.
all
I
good.
mean, you had a Churk moment when you said the All-Star game. You said the All-Star caliber player. You should have never said that out of your mouth.
Yeah.
The Warriors are up 3-1.
Good segue, James. Good segue.
Yeah, the Warriors are going to close it out against Denver tonight. I expect the
Yeah.
Warriors to win in a blowout tonight.
I mean, don't count out the Joker, though.
Who gives a shit? He's done too. End both of these series tonight. Let's move on. Let's see who they play
Jamal
round
Murray.
2.
Jamal Murray could have been
closer
healthy. They
matchup.
would have swept him.
Whatever.
Huh?
How about this Jazz Mavericks series?
This one's interesting.
Yeah.
Dallas.
Even if Dallas wins this series, if Devin Booker is healthy, they're not going to beat the Suns. We already established that. But let me ask you this. If Devin Booker remains out, can Dallas, I'm not going to say win the series, but can Dallas make it interesting?
Will they have Luka?
Yes.
Then yeah.
Would you
Yeah,
give
Luka's
Dallas a
not good.
chance at winning the series if Phoenix doesn't have Devin Booker?
Winning,
Not
no.
that
Making it go 6 or 7, sure, but winning, no.
Yeah, I think it could go 7 games without Booker for sure, but I'd still like them to win that series.
Oh, we forgot one more game.
Oh, Philadelphia, Toronto.
Yeah.
Can Philly just end this over with? Toronto's not good. Like,
Yeah.
they're just fucking around with this shit. Like, just move on. Let's get it over with. Knock out the Raptors, and I don't want to see Drake on my television anymore.
I hate to
I
say
mean,
this.
I like the Raptors fan though, the super fan.
I
He's
think the
okay.
Raptors can pull this off.
You know who I'm talking about, James?
No, because it doesn't. Here's what's going to happen. Okay, either in Game 6 or Game 7. Here's what's going to happen. Embiid and Harden are going to shoot a combined 45 free throws, and that's going to be the difference in the game. Okay, if it doesn't happen in Game 6 and they only shoot like 7 or 8 between the two of them, guess what's happening in Game 7? It's going to be nothing but foul calls.
Dude,
Okay,
if the Raptors are able to come back from a 3-0 series deficit to even force a Game 7, the pressure dial is going to be turned up to at least 100 on James Harden and Doc Rivers.
On Doc Rivers for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
but I have more
This would
faith
be
in
his
the.
This would be
I have
his
more
next.
faith in the Sixers than Toronto.
What are your guys' thoughts on Doc?
Yeah.
He's a guy.
Yeah.
He's a
I
guy.
mean,
He
he
did
won
something once 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
I mean,
won a
he's
title in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
with
think
an overpowered team.
a lot of the reason that this is happening is I think has to do with him just failing to close in these situations. Like he's got a reputation of this.
I
You know,
think
I
NBA
don't
just
think the
lumps his
Sixers
name.
win the series, but I think that a lot of this is just like, I don't know, man. For whatever reason, he's just got this history of like choking in these big moments, and
Yeah.
but no, I don't think that the Raptors are going to really make this. Like, I don't think it's going 7. I think that they end it next game.
No, I don't think Toronto lets the series end. Game 6 up in Toronto.
Just because Philly's coached by the NBA's version of Tom Izzo, don't make you think that Toronto Raptors are actually going to make this go 7 games.
Hey, I picked the Raptors to win this
Izzo, that's a
from
good
the
one.
beginning. I'm not jumping off that bandwagon.
Fuck the Raptors. Let's keep going on.
It would be a story though. Never has a team ever come down from a 3-0 deficit in the NBA playoffs. So
Right.
it would be a big deal.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Go Philly. Get Drake off my television. Let's go to the next topic, please.
All right.
I'm all about Les Drake. Les Drake is always good.
So I think that's all the series. So let's talk some NBA awards. So we already touched on it. John Morant won Most Improved Player. I think none of us have any issue with it.
Mm-mm.
Nah, I got a little bit of an issue.
What is it?
You have
James?
chosen.
What-
Darius
Garland.
Garland?
Thank you.
Now, John Morant was already an established star player last year. He just got better.
You said
What do we
I
know
was
about Darius Garland coming into this year? We didn't know much about Darius Garland.
Yeah.
He was the key centerpiece of a team expected to have 27 or fewer wins that made a run into the play-in tournament. That's what most improved players for, not for some guy that's already an established guy that everyone already talks about. Nobody was talking about Darius Garland before this year.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
everyone's talking
I would have picked Ja. I'm okay with Ja winning it just because I feel like he did get significantly better.
Come on, Bryan.
And they're in position. They're actually in the postseason right now. Like we made the Mickey Mouse version of it.
Yeah.
Come
So
on,
I
Bryan.
think that's why they gave him the edge at the end of the day. But there's definitely an argument for Darius Garland, and that's the only other player that I would even have in the conversation.
Or Allen?
Hmm?
Jared Allen?
No, I mean, no. He's still a center.
He didn't play enough games either. You know, he was
That
hurt
too.
for most of the
Josh
season.
is frozen.
Josh is frozen.
Oh shit!
Well,
boy.
some
I
more
don't know how this is
technical.
gonna
Now
work,
he's
because
experienced.
Now it's getting real interesting.
all right. What's
who's
the
serious?
next NBA award?
Who do you think is going to win? Do you think the East is going to win it this year?
For what? The finals?
Yes.
What are we talking about?
What the Eastern Conference as a whole, are they going to win it?
Yes.
I think the Warriors are going to win it, but that's
You don't
just
think the East could do it?
not particularly. I'm not really excited by any of the teams in the East right now.
How about the Sixers?
No, I mean the way that they're struggling to close out the series with Toronto, I think speaks
the
a little bit
Celtics.
about them not being quite there yet. So
Celtics, I think, could.
Celtics they look good, but it's still like I don't know how much of that was on Brooklyn, having just a real shitty situation with injuries and everything else going on, with that organization, the lack of coaching and everything else. To me, that was more of a failure on the Nets' part than it was really like the Celtics blowing me away.
You think this is KD's karma?
Karma for what?
No,
I don't know.
For what? Joining the Warriors and
Yes.
getting 2 bullshit titles and going out in the zone and
This
not
is
doing
karma
shit.
right now. This is karma.
I think what this is telling you, if anything, about
karma.
Mr. Kevin Durant and additionally Kyrie Irving is
I
that
forgive him, but this is karma.
they need a very strong support staff around them. And
Yeah.
they may or may not need to be the guy on their own team.
Mm-hmm.
Because Steph Curry was the guy in Golden State. LeBron was the guy in Cleveland.
100%.
And Kyrie and KD have
There we
both
go.
been in places where they're supposed to be the guy, and they're not the guy.
Yeah,
So,
didn't work out well when they tried.
yeah, even go back to Oklahoma City when Kevin Durant, before he went to Golden State. He was the guy, and he still didn't accomplish shit.
Yeah,
And he had Westbrook.
And Harden.
yeah, Westbrook.
Well, for a little bit of that time, he mostly had
It was mostly Westbrook, but there was also Harden there, and Steven Adams, and
Harden
Serge Ibaka.
There, right?
Ibaka, yeah.
Wasn't Harden 6th man of the year there?
Yeah, he
Well,
was.
for a season, and then he left, and then they got
They had him for like 3 years.
they traded him. I think they traded him for Kevin Martin. I remember
It wasn't a good trade.
Kevin Martin or Kenyon Martin?
Kevin Martin, the guy who had like the weird shooting form. You remember him, Brian?
Vaguely.
He was like pretty good with the Kings, number 23. Anyways,
We wore a good number.
Yeah, by the way, 3 seasons for James Harden, Oklahoma City. So, anyways, other award of note.
Kendrick Perkins was on the team.
Kendrick Perkins.
Shaq
Speaking
the
of Kendrick Perkins, does anyone else remember when he just announced that he was coming back to the Cavs in 2018 and posted the picture of him in the New Jersey, and there was no team announcement? Does anyone else remember when that happened?
No, I don't
I'm so
remember that
excited.
happening.
Posted a picture of him in like the red jersey posed like this, and it said, "I'm back." They deleted it like an hour later. Then he was never on the team.
Why was he never on the team?
Because they never like activated him. He was on like the G League roster.
Were you a fan of Kendrick Perkins, James?
Kendrick Perkins was fine. He was fun. He looked like if they need to get to a little scrap, that he'd be the first guy in to go fight everyone.
Yeah, he was like a good rim protector.
And he was all right. But other award of note, Rookie of the Year, Scotty Barnes.
I'm fine with him winning it over
They also
Evan.
got this one wrong.
Oh,
They also got this one wrong. I know I'm going to sound like a homer, which I never sound like a homer, but Evan Mobley should have been Rookie of the Year. And if not Evan Mobley,
In my opinion, it's the fact that we're not in the playoffs.
if not Evan Mobley, I would have said Cade Cunningham, but not Scotty Barnes.
Would you say Jalen Green could have been in there too?
No,
Jalen Green?
the guy the
No.
Rockets drafted.
No.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with the pick again, but I liked Mobley better in this instance. I'm okay with the pick, but I would have chose Mobley here.
Yeah, I would have gone Mobley, then Cunningham, then Barnes.
Yeah,
I'm with
I'm
Jim.
all right.
I like that order a lot better.
yeah.
Would you
I'm
say
all right with Barnes winning it, but
Would,
I would
would-
have preferred Mobley.
was Jalen Green a bad player? It said he averaged 17 points a game.
He plays on a shit team. Who cares? That's what this is. You play on the Rockets.
Yeah, they were bad.
It doesn't matter. It's about how you are as an individual player.
No, that matters. What team you play on matters. Depends on where you end up in awards.
Right.
Mhm.
That's a huge
Right.
reason why.
Cavs come up empty-handed here.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Kevin Love's probably not going to win Sixth Man of the Year.
Not going to get sixth man. JB Bickerstaff's not going to get Coach of the Year, and
Should
Kobe
be
Altman's
Coach
not
of the
going to get Executive of the Year. Even though
He
you
should.
could make very valid arguments for every single Cavs player up for one of those awards should have won.
Yeah,
I don't even. JB Bickerstaff wasn't even one of the finalists for Coach of the Year. It was Monty Williams, Eric.
And that means they got it wrong, is what that means.
yeah.
That means they got it wrong.
To be in the discussion.
Yeah.
Like, I'm usually the one shooting all you guys down about this, but like, here's the deal: like, they got it wrong if he's not even in this. Like, there are legitimate reasons and valid arguments for the Cavs to have swept all of these awards.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Most impressive.
Huh?
I was just going to say it's hands down the most impressive coaching performance of the year is Bickerstaff. That one I say he could have been that easy. The fact he's not in the discussion is criminal.
Yeah, I think if the finalists were Spoelstra, Monty Williams, and I forget who the third one was.
Yeah, they all can kick rocks. Should have been JB's award.
It should have been.
And
So what's next?
It was Taylor Jenkins, Eric Spoelstra, Monty Williams. Those are the three.
Nah.
Anyway. So I think that's all the NBA stuff.
Segues this show. So really smooth transitions and segues. We really are. Our show's so good.
Yeah,
I know.
We are fantastic.
is that sarcasm? We are good.
Hey.
Debatable. Today's performance is debatable. Good Lord, we have stumbled through every transition.
Okay, what do we have? We have baseball now.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Take
one
us
of those
baseball.
transitions.
So the Guardians swept the Chicago White Sox, and now they've lost 5 straight. What the heck has happened to this team?
It's a young team. They're inconsistent. From time to time, this is going to happen.
Yeah. I think the streakiness of this team, the lose a couple, win a few, lose a few, win a few, is really indicative of just being a young roster and a young team that, they're going to be really hot and cold this year. I expect that to be a theme. And I don't think that this is any reason to sound alarmed or anything like that. Sweeping the White Sox was huge. Gave us a little bit of a cushion for the next series. But yeah, I think that Yankees have a good team. We didn't play great. Move on,
Yeah, and now we've lost the first 2 games against the Angels.
I mean, they're not hitting. That's just basically what it comes down. They're not hitting right now. And
Ice cold bats.
they're a streaky team. They're streaky at the plate for sure. Pitching usually is pretty consistent. But with young bats and going from New York where they got a pitcher that's obviously cheating, then they got to go to Los Angeles, and it's a big time zone.
Yeah.
Thing. So with young team like this and a team that hasn't been consistent either hitting, it's going to impact them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, James. The West Coast trip and it being a young team, and I think that definitely had an impact on them. I was really hoping after that Yankees game and the way that it ended that, we would come out and sweep this series against the Angels, but that's just being too optimistic. It's a young team, and like James said, pitching is consistent. We can, we probably can rely on that throughout the year, but the bats are going to be very hot and cold, and that's just because they're a young team. A lot of guys that need to get experience, and unfortunately, the only way to do that is just time.
Yeah. What did you guys think of all the shenanigans that happened in the one game against the Yankees where they get the walk-off and everything happened in the outfield?
Well, that's just some bullshit behavior from the fans in the Bronx. If you really want a longer version of this discussion, I definitely recommend listening to the latest episode of Guarding the Corner, because we talked about it for about a good 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, we went at length about this particular incident.
Yeah, so check that out. All the usual places: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google, Podchaser, TuneIn, thisisbelieveone.com. Check those out.
You will find a link to that podcast through the This Is Believe One website in the description of this video afterwards.
Perfect.
I always
it was Yankees fans being one of the shittiest fan bases in the country, which is no surprise. And yeah, I mean, they were going after a guy who, was injured, and that's shitty to begin with. Miles Straw stuck up for his guy, and the walk-off just happened to happen in the area that the incident had occurred, and it was just the perfect recipe for disaster. And it was ugly. It was really ugly. It was a bad look for the Yankees. And if anything, I think that is going to it brought this team closer together. And I think that if anything, it's going to have a positive impact throughout the season. Just seeing the way that those guys came together, you can tell they really care about each other. So you can't say enough about that in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Big time, long-term returns on this one.
Yeah. And speaking of the Yankees, we found out about a letter that was sent involving them.
Anyone else want to comment on this before I commandeer this? Or
Go for it. Go for it.
Go ahead and launch.
Do you want to know what we learned from this? We didn't learn anything from this. We already knew everything in this letter, okay? And it wasn't up to the level of some elaborate scheme like what the Astros did or what the Red Sox did with the Apple Watches. So in regards to shock value, in regards to the Astros fan base hoping for some big aha moment where someone was doing something as elaborate or even more so than what they were doing, like this is a big time just who gives a shit.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it. I
didn't think this was all that big of a deal, to be honest.
Yeah. At this point, it kind of felt expected.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's trying to get an edge. That's been the story in baseball for all of time. Guys are always looking at a way of getting an edge. It's a game where numbers are critically important, and guys are always going to look for ways to increase those numbers. And, that's just part of what this is. It's just the revelation of, things that happen behind closed doors. And I think a lot more things like this happen than we know. We just never hear about it. So, to me, it wasn't all that shocking or anything like that. But.
I mean, James, when we were here in studio at All Sports Cleveland, didn't you read out a series of tweets about a bunch of teams cheating during their World Series runs, like the 2015 Royals and Adrian Beltre?
Yeah. That was from Ryan Spader on Twitter, at Spader. Very good baseball account. But yeah, it's the amount of teams that or do cheat or have some form of cheating. It's most, if not all of them. So when it comes to stuff like this coming out, don't be too quick to cast stones because they could come back and hit you in the face real quick, like a lot of Yankees fans found out with this. But every team does what the Yankees were doing. Goes to the replay room, watches the cycles of the signs, and tells the other teammates, hey, when you're on second, this is the sign cycle. Let them know somehow that what pitch is coming.
Right.
Yeah.
This has always happened. It's happened since the beginning of time with baseball.
There's a reason why there's such a big push for PitchCom, because it will completely eliminate this type of cheating from the equation.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, having the PitchCom and not giving the other team an opportunity to steal the signs is obviously a good way around it, and hopefully more teams adapt it. The ones that have adapted it seem to be pretty happy with it. So
yeah. And then Pete Alonso got hit in the head again. Mets have been hit 18 times this year, 7 more than any other team.
At what point does it stop being just a coincidence? Let me ask you that. Yeah. Because
that's a good point.
I get these new baseballs suck and pitchers are complaining because they can't control them, and they don't have the let's call it assistance that they had last year when it came to these balls, because this is the third or fourth consecutive year they've messed with the baseball.
Yeah.
And the reviews on this particular ball are not good.
Yeah.
Okay? So
home run
problem.
balls aren't carrying. There's a lot of issues with these balls. So
they're dead balls. They're not live balls. They're dead balls.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could see with home run numbers, like they're down big time. And that's, overall net negative for the league. Like home runs are always a good thing. So, yeah, I think the guys are having issues with the ball offensively and from a pitching aspect as well. So, yeah, this is a storyline that I expect to continue until there's some kind of correction made or what have you.
I agree with you. Speaking of pitching, though, I saw Walker Buehler had the first complete game shutout of the season.
Did. Yeah, it took a couple of weeks before he got the first, CG shut piece.
Mm-hmm.
But, Walker Buehler struck out 10, allowed just 3 hits, and a 4-0 win over the Diamondbacks. If there's any team to get a complete game shutout against, it is the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yes. Or the Pittsburgh Pirates, actually.
Say that again?
Or the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Maybe. I mean, they're getting some hits out of some guys. Daniel Vogelbach is actually being somewhat productive. So that's kind of surprising. But, they are without Bryan Reynolds right now, so maybe it's the right time to go, throw a no-no against them or something.
I was looking into possibly going to a Pirates game tomorrow against Milwaukee, but we ended up not doing that. So I'm just going to go to the Penguins game on Friday against Columbus.
Yeah, not many people have been going to the Pirates games, that's for certain. If you were there, you would be one of the choice few. And that's really too bad because it's a really great place to see a ball game. Like, to anybody that hasn't been to PNC, it's amazing. And
is there a Cleveland rivalry there?
No,
there's not. Currently, the Pirates are averaging 13,000 a game, which is an increase over 3,000 a game from last year. But that number is sure to go down as they continue to play games. But they rank in dead last in the National League of attendance.
Yeah, and a lot of those attendance numbers are even questionable. The ones that are even
they've been juicing the numbers. Is what they've been doing. Something I did find out though is that they count all the suites and club seats as sold, even though you don't go through there and go to the game. If it's vacant, it counts as sold, so it counts as positive in regards to their numbers, which is why you saw some ridiculous 10,000 count for the Reds game the other day, and it looked like there was maybe 2,000 people there.
Yeah.
Or so you think even the attendance count at the Oakland A's game where there was 3,000 fans, there was probably less than that.
There was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that happens a lot. They count every single soul that walks through those doors, every vendor, every coach, player, any, staff member, they all get counted into those numbers. And that's kind of how they juice them up and inflate them a little bit. So, yeah, they weren't in the crowd. There wasn't that many in the stands. I know that much.
Yeah.
And then I saw some stupid tweet from the A's president or GM taking a picture of the Giants game, and they had decent attendance, especially for a weekday. Trying to call out the Giants for no one showing up there, why no one's giving a shit. It's don't be doing this. Don't be just trying to take shots at other teams because no one's coming to your games.
Right.
Yeah.
After the Angels, the Guardians get to play at the Ring Central Coliseum in Oakland.
I got it. A series against the A's is exactly what this team needs right now, honestly. Just play a shit team, get back on the right track, come back home, play the Padres for 2, and get back to work.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do. But
yeah.
Not Browns, NFL draft time. Let's talk about draft.
Yeah. So, who do you think's going first overall?
Not Aiden Hutchinson.
No.
I would say Trevon Walker.
I'm going with what's his name? Kayvon Thibodeau is who I'm going with.
Ooh. I'm actually going with the offensive lineman, Evan Neal.
Evan Neal,
okay.
I'm going Trevon Walker.
Jacksonville wants to draft a Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall last year. They want to keep him standing upright so he can maybe develop into a solid NFL quarterback and put the Jaguars back on the map. Why not draft an offensive lineman to help protect him?
So I'll give you a potential reason why. Because the Jaguars and Cam Robinson have agreed to a 3-year, $54 million deal.
Ooh.
So that might be why they're not drafting a left tackle at number 1 overall, and they might be going the opposite side of the ball, defensive end.
Okay.
So, Bryan, who do you think's going first? I said Kayvon Thibodeau. Churk, you said Trayvon Walker. Churk said Evan Neal.
God, it could be any of those guys. I don't dislike any of those picks, but I think it's going to be a defensive end. I'm going to go Trayvon Walker.
Okay, I did find it interesting. None of us chose Aiden Hutchinson as going number 1 overall.
Yeah, the arm length issue with GM. That's why I stayed away from it because I think he really cares a lot about that.
He does.
And because of that, I think that they're going to avoid Aiden Hutchinson. So that's why I didn't go with him at number 1.
Do you think he ends up going number 2 to the Detroit Lions then?
If Michigan Lions fan, that dynamic that exists, which is very real and prominent in southeastern Michigan, wants to be happy, they would love this pick. If they want their team to be good, they might not love this pick so much. I think Aiden Hutchinson can be a productive player in the league, but I don't think he's ever going to be a star player.
Really?
So I don't think he's going to be a star. I think he could be a productive player who plays like 5 to 10 years, but after his rookie year, he bounces around a couple of years, maybe finds a spot, he stays for a couple of years.
Has like 2 or 3 Pro Bowls.
I can't disagree more.
Has 2 or 3 Pro Bowls.
I think he's a slam dunk star. He's one of the rare defensive ends that comes out with both production and the numbers. Like his pro day, his numbers were incredible, and he also had the production to back it up. And he also had the success to back it up and finally beating Ohio State and winning a Big Ten.
I will say
all 3 of those things, and that's like rare for.
Here's the concern I have with Hutchinson. Part of it is the arm thing. Okay, I will admit part of it is the arm thing. However, it's the arm thing combined with he is a very stiff player. He doesn't have a lot of bend and he doesn't have a lot of reach. So if you're a stiff player and you don't have enough reach to create separation between you and the blocker, it's going to be a little bit more difficult at the NFL level to be a consistently productive defensive end player.
Yeah, I disagree. I think he had a great 3-cone time, and I think that just goes.
It's not about the time. It's about how he actually plays. It's not about the time though. He plays stiff.
I don't know. I watched him play all year long. He's the most slam dunk first round Michigan prospect that I have seen since Jake Long.
So
he's that good, in my opinion. I just disagree with you on this one. It's the rare instance where I disagree with you. I think he's going to be really good, and he's also got durability, and that's something that a lot of other guys have had issues with too. Defensive ends coming out of the draft, so I think he's got it all. I think he's going to be really good. But I think it's a slam dunk at number 2. There's no way that the Lions don't take him if he's there at number 2.
While I do agree with everything you just said, Bryan, I think it does hinge on one thing, and that's the defensive system that he ends up in. Like you said, I think he is a very productive player who can get to that star level. But I think, like I just said, I think it depends on which defensive scheme he ends up in. If he ends up in the wrong defensive scheme or system, whatever word you want to use, he's not going to get to that level that you're projecting him to be at.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it always has an impact, but as an end, it's not as important as like if he was a tackle. Sure. He's a pass rusher. They're going to use him as a pass rusher. So in that way, like it's not as important, like I said, if he was a tackle. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's going to be important, the coaching staff that he lands with.
Exactly.
The players alongside of him. He benefited from having Ojabo on the other side of him.
Ojabo was incredible for Michigan.
Yeah, so he benefited from that in a big way. So, you would want to see him land in a similar situation, in a similar defensive style. But yeah, I just think he's one of those rare players that has it all, and I think he'll be good no matter where he goes.
Yeah. So how about the quarterbacks? Because this draft is not like, oh my gosh, you have to select this quarterback type of draft. It's like,
I mean,
well, we don't know which
Malik Willis
quarterback
looks
to
pretty
go
good.
with. Huh?
What did you say, Churk?
Malik Willis looks pretty good.
Do you think he's going to be the first quarterback selected?
Yeah.
And which team takes him?
Maybe the Browns.
Browns.
The Browns? We've got 3 quarterbacks. We actually have 4 right now. We got one we need to get rid of.
I don't know if it's a first-round quarterback pick.
This draft reminds me a lot of the 2013 NFL draft, where there's not any superstar players in it, and there's certainly none of them are quarterbacks, and you end up taking players, and it just kind of sucks.
Like E.J. Manuel?
E.J. Manuel.
Who's from that draft?
Geno Smith?
I mean, that draft wasn't good.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That's what this draft reminds me a lot of. You could probably get a lot of like productive type players out of this, but they're going to be like in that second, third tier player group. There's very few guys, if any, that are picked to be superstar franchise talent players in this draft.
Yeah, I agree with that for the most part.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But who do you guys think is going to be the first quarterback taken and what team?
I agree that it'll be Malik Willis. I honestly don't know what team. I'd have to pull up the order now. So I'll circle back to me. But I agree with Churk. I think Malik Willis gets taken first.
So the team I'm looking at is the number 6 team, Carolina. They're clearly not sold on Sam Darnold. Matt Rule knows he's on his last legs as the Panthers head coach, so he wants a quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if they take Kenny Pickett at number 6, honestly.
Really?
Ooh.
That's spicy.
Yeah, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I think that's spicy. I don't like Pickett. I avoid him like the plague. I think that the hand size issue is a bigger issue than people want to give credit to, and also because it's been highlighted by turnovers. You know, he's had an issue with fumbling. So if you've got both those, if you've got the small hands and you also are prone to fumbling, that's not good. So for that reason, I don't think that anybody would risk going top 10 for him. I really don't.
I'm not saying it's the right decision. I'm just saying I think that's what the Panthers will do anyway.
Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
It's not like you're saying that's the right pick.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are putting Malik Willis at number 20 to the Steelers. I think if Pittsburgh wants Malik Willis, they're going to have to trade up.
I don't think they're going to have to trade up. No one's really, trying to get out of each other's way and get ahead of someone for a quarterback in this draft.
Yeah.
I really do think Malik Willis could be the first guy off at 20 for the Steelers. Like, you usually in draft process, you see quarterbacks get pushed all the way to the top of the draft. We're seeing the complete opposite. We're seeing the complete opposite in this draft. They're pushing them down. Okay, and teams have shown that they're not valuing these quarterbacks at all. I saw someone say if he was in this draft, Baker Mayfield would be the best quarterback prospect out of everyone here. Current version of Baker Mayfield, flaws and all.
That's not saying much.
I heard the same thing about Davis Mills. Someone said Davis Mills would be the best coming out of this draft too. So that's
no one's really excited about this quarterback draft. It's a draft where if you have to take a quarterback, don't do it in round 1. Take a second round flyer on somebody and hope they turn into something.
Yeah.
From a cap standpoint, though, like getting a quarterback in the draft is the cheapest way to get a quarterback, So I think that for that reason, like Josh, like you were saying, I think that a team will take a quarterback too high. I don't know if it'll be Carolina at that location, but somebody will. They'll take a quarterback too high, and part of the reason is because they're going to go, well, you know what? This is an affordable option.
Yeah.
So even though we're not crazy about this guy, it is what it is. But I think they're looking at those guys as placeholders, though. I don't think they're looking at any of these quarterbacks as starting quarterback caliber. Like I find a team that's looking for a backup to be the team really that's best suited to draft one of these guys, because I think that they're backup caliber players.
Interesting.
So I'm looking at the top half of this draft. Most of these teams have a quarterback, or at least are in some sort of weird have to make a decision after this season, so they have to play the guy type situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Jaguars just drafted Trevor Lawrence. Okay.
Yep.
The Lions, they have Jared Goff, as horrible as expensive as he is. Texans got Davis Mills. The Jets have Zach Wilson, they drafted last year. The Giants, they have Daniel Jones, and however they handle that situation is yet to be known. The Panthers have Darnold, and who knows what they're going to do there, but a lot of people do not think they're taking a quarterback at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the Giants again. Then you got the Falcons. The Falcons do something weird.
Yeah.
But they just signed Marcus Mariota. You want him to be successful. You want this offense to be successful. You find another guy to catch passes along with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
So quarterback, kind of out of the question there. Seattle seems pretty happy with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater because Seattle's weird right now, apparently. Then you got the Jets again. Then you got the Commanders who took Carson Wentz. And the Vikings have Kirk Cousins. And the Texans again.
Right. I think this might be a draft where we see teams just taking the best available player more so than fit, because it's a draft that it's not a stellar draft class. So like, I think that a lot of teams are going to go, you know what, instead of going by positional need, let's just get the best player, because some of these guys are just not going to be impactful players in this league. So
that's a fair way of looking at it. And I actually agree with you. I think that if Malik Willis does end up going to Pittsburgh, that's a perfect fit. Him and Mike Tomlin, I think, would work together beautifully.
Tomlin can work great with anybody, but I think it does seem like the most logical fit. It really does. They need another quarterback. He's a guy that seems like he can fit right into that, that style. Obviously, they're going to adapt their offense a little bit because Roethlisberger is not going to be the guy driving steering the ship anymore. So I'm sure there will be some evolution in their offense.
Right.
And I think he's a guy that probably fits what Tomlin's going to try to do. So, that'd be a good spot for him.
The best type of fit for Willis is an RPO QB run heavy style offense. Yeah. Guess what? The Steelers have no problem with running, even when they tried running it with, old man Roethlisberger, who couldn't run anymore. That exact same description.
Yeah.
Shallow passes, deep balls. That's all the Steelers ran. That's what Willis is best at.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's a very good point.
I just really don't like Pickett. I'm glad that nobody said Pickett to Pitt because of the Pitt, him being a Pitt quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think they fall into that trap, but
right.
I really think that Pickett he's a dangerous pick.
Yeah. I'm looking at what you said on the show sheet right now. Player most likely to be overdrafted, James, and I think it's Kenny Pickett to the Carolina Panthers at number 6. Because again, I don't think the Panthers are satisfied with Sam Darnold. Matt Rule knows he's on his last leg, so they're just going to be like, let's reach for a quarterback. Hey, Kenny Pickett.
That'll be awful.
I don't think he'll get drafted that high. I think the Lions could do something very stupid because it's the Lions. They have picks 32 and 34. If they see a team that's looking to reload on current draft picks and future draft picks, they could do something stupid like trade up from 32 with, a team that needs some draft capital for a long-term build and end up taking Pickett.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that 100%.
Yeah, I can see that.
34, and you send that to I don't know the Eagles or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait.
I think that there's a real chance that somebody might take Sauce Gardner top 5, and I think that'd be a mistake.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a real chance that somebody will reach on him. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad player, but I think that in terms of player most likely to be overdrafted, I think he's a guy that is one. He'll probably go really high in this draft, and I don't necessarily think that he's deserving of that, to be fair.
So what you're saying is the Texans are going to draft Sauce Gardner to drop into their cover 2 defense.
This is my Kyle Pitts pick this year. I honestly think that number 3, the Houston Texans, are going to take Sauce Gardner.
Got to love that Lovie Smith Tampa 2 that he's still trotting out 15 years if it stopped being able to be ran in the league.
Yep. But I'm crazy about this. I'm crazy about this pick. If you want to put money on any of these picks in the first round, Sauce Gardner at number 3 has some great value. I really think there's a real possibility that happens.
Taxes, Lovie Smith running the Tampa 2.
Yep, you got it.
You missed Lovie Smith, James?
For the same reason I said that the Jags won't go with Hutchinson because of the arm issue. It's the same thing, you know.
You got to know their tendencies.
Whose dog is that?
Even Brian's dog agrees with what we're saying.
You gave us a here we go brownies.
Yes.
That's what we got.
Hey, speaking of the Browns, their first pick isn't until the second round. So
they get a quarterback?
No.
Would that be funny, James?
Listen, I've made tons of wisecracks about the Browns front office and their Ivy League history, and when they do something I think is stupid and actually is stupid, I'll criticize it and follow it up with, but I'm not an Ivy Leaguer. But even at their worst day, they would not be taking a quarterback at 44 in this draft.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is going to be a best available, whether it's a wide receiver or a defensive lineman.
Yeah,
that's really what's going to be.
Yeah, I think happens at 44.
Yeah, I think for me, they need to go wide receiver with their first pick.
I would probably go defensive end, honestly. I see a lot of people going and saying they should get the Pickens guy, but he's been described as a boom or bust prospect type guy, and more likely bust than boom. And for a team that needs production out of the wide receiver position,
I've heard big maturity issues with him, locker room issues, and that's something when you're trying to get rid of a guy like Baker Mayfield. You don't want someone to be brought in who's going to have issues like that, and he seems like that type of guy. I disagree on going wide receiver here, Josh, because I think that the wide receiver class is very top heavy. I think that like the first couple of guys that are going to go are going to be special, and then I think the rest of them I'm not that crazy about. So that's why I think that probably defensive line is where we're going to try to fill first in that area.
That's a fair point.
I think day 2 wide receiver or day 3 wide receiver is probably more likely.
They still need a defensive end opposite Myles Garrett. Like as much as people are being like, "Oh, they're going to bring back Clowney back," they still haven't. Like they still haven't signed him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Same goes for Jarvis Landry too. Like they still haven't re-signed him either. But like I feel more confident in getting a productive player for this year and beyond at 44 with the defensive end than I do a wide receiver.
I understand. I do understand that, James, and I also get what you're saying, Brian. I just feel like, for me, wide receiver is a little bit of a bigger need, only because, like, Amari Cooper is a good receiver, but I would say he's a number 2 wide receiver. None of us think Donovan Peoples-Jones is a number 1 wide receiver. He's probably, if not a number 2 wide receiver, probably number 3. And I don't think any of us are 4. And I don't think any of us are sold on Anthony Schwartz. So I just feel like wide receiver is a pretty big need for us. But I do agree that wide receiver draft class is top heavy.
So you need to look at it from team need. You need to look at it from what picks the Browns have. You need to look at it for depth of position group in the draft class. I feel like what Bryan said, that's top heavy, but the wide receiver group, it drops off. I feel that you're going to get a more quality player, more impact player, something closer to resembling a blue chip player at defensive line at 44 versus wide receiver. Okay, they're still going to draft a wide receiver at some point,
Right.
but I wouldn't back myself into the corner there because they still have picks 78 and 79 in day 2. So they have 2 other picks besides 44 in day 2. Okay.
Do you think there's a possibility the Browns could move up in the draft from 40?
If there's someone that's available that has no business being available, like JOK was last year, sure.
Yeah.
Use the 78 or 99 pick, move up from 44 to like 39 or something.
Right. Yeah, I think that's possible. I definitely think that's possible.
But you don't think there's a possibility that like they move up into the first round to draft?
No, it's impossible. They don't have enough to get there.
Yeah, I agree.
Without giving up future first round picks, they don't have enough stuff to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think James is right there.
Yeah, because they have 2 3s, a 4 6, and 2 7s.
Yeah. Oh, and just to contrast something real quick, I was one of the people that said that DPJ was going to be the most likely to be overdrafted in that draft. I think he was way overdrafted.
And he was drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah. And that's saying something. So
yeah,
I'm not just homering on Aiden Hutchinson. I really do think he's that good.
Yeah.
I thought DPJ was way overrated as a prospect coming out of college.
You get a big thumbs up, Bryan.
OSU over Michigan.
What?
You heard me.
Okay.
Anyway.
OSU over Michigan, I said.
Oh.
I don't know. It's been a while.
He didn't want me to go there, though.
All right.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on this with the Browns, but do you think there are going to be any teams that trade back into the first round? Maybe to draft a quarterback, maybe just to draft somebody else.
The Panthers, maybe?
Let me look at the top end of round 2 because that will give you the answer here. I could see the Jets being unnecessarily aggressive for no reason besides that they're the Jets.
Yeah.
The Seahawks do have picks 40 and 41, so I could see them getting weird and getting some action in there. Teams like to drop back to get additional picks, especially in this draft, that they can turn 1 pick into 2 picks this draft. They'll do that. So I could see some team doing something stupid, like maybe Seattle didn't love taking a quarterback earlier in this draft, but let's say for some reason Malik Willis is still available at 26.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I could see them trading up to get someone like him. Or maybe they really love themselves some Desmond Ridder for some reason, and he's available at 32, and they trade with the Lions.
Right. Yeah, there's guys in this draft that I think that certain teams are really fond of. That if they fall, that's probably how it'll happen. But like trying to predict trades in a mock draft,
I hate it. I really do.
It's a really hard thing to predict. This is a yes or no question for me, and I think the answer is probably yes. Somebody will. It happens every year, you know.
Yeah.
So I do think that somebody will probably trade back, somebody will trade up, and we'll see something like that happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I could see the Seahawks doing that, trading back up to get Desmond Ridder. I think it's interesting that, like we talked about how this quarterback draft class is not very strong. It's interesting, like the only 2 quarterbacks you hear really being talked about at all are Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis. Like you don't hear anything about Desmond Ridder. At least I haven't. And I haven't really heard anything about Matt Corral either.
Sam Howell, Carson Strong, those guys.
Yeah. You hear those guys mentioned as later round picks. I mean, Pickett and Willis are the only guys that really have any chance of going in the first round.
Yeah.
And more than likely both will. But like Corral, Strong, Ridder, Howell, they're
not first round guys.
They're day 2, day 3 guys.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I think that the over-under is at 3 for quarterbacks taken in the first round. I've got the under. I think that the 2 you mentioned go in the first round. I don't think either of them should go in the first round, but they will.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't see anybody taking Howell or Ridder or Coral or any of those guys first round. I just think that'd be way reachy.
Yeah, by no means am I suggesting that any of those quarterbacks should be taken in the first round. I'm just saying, I think it's interesting that it's only Pickett and Willis being talked about as first-round quarterbacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how questions work. You ask.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Browns have announced their new radio broadcast team. It's going to be Jim Donovan, Nathan Zegura, and Gerard Cherry.
Yeah.
This impacts me 0% because I watch the games on television, not via to listen to them on the radio.
Same here. I've never listened to a Browns game on the radio unless it was a necessity. So
Yeah,
good for them.
I listen to the Browns radio.
Huh?
I used to listen to that all the time. 92.3.
No, not that. The radio broadcast.
The actual telecast of the game. You watch it on TV. You don't listen to the radio, right?
I've heard of it.
I've done both.
Yeah, I've heard sometimes where like people will like watch the game but turn off the sound and listen to the radio broadcast.
That's just psycho shit, and
That
that's
is.
just
You'll
that's-
watch second
How is
delay.
that?
This
This
match-
is
a pain in the
about
ass
listening to
because-
the homers, guys. You guys don't understand.
well.
Okay,
Here's the
that does make
problem:
sense.
lining up the radio broadcast with your television feed is a giant chore that I just find unnecessary.
Okay, I don't do that, but sometimes I prefer listening to the radio over the phone.
So, I mean, I'm watching the broadcast. I want to watch the broadcast. I don't want to have to listen to a radio broadcast, which is also not coinciding timing wise with what I'm watching.
He's cheering the
Okay.
Browns on, which
I
makes
want to
it
watch
better.
what's happening in real time. There's a reason I don't watch games later and record them. If it happened and I missed it, I missed it. Okay.
I don't like the
Yeah.
TiVo.
I'm not
I
gonna
agree
go
with you on that,
watch-
James.
If I'm out all day and the Guardians play at 1, I don't get home until 5. I'm not going to just start the game from the beginning. I'm going to be like, oh, did they win or lose? How'd they score? How didn't they score? The end.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like TiVoing, right? TiVoing a game.
Tebowing? That's a quarterback who played for the Florida.
No.
Tebow.
Like how you,
TiVo. You're talking about TiVo.
TiVo,
I
yeah.
don't know. People still have TiVo.
Oh,
How is it in that time machine you call 2004?
Yeah.
that's what TiVo was.
I mean, I still DVR games.
But he specifically mentioned TiVo. That's different.
Yeah, that's
A subscription service you had to go and buy and get activated.
right.
Everyone still remembers it.
Yeah.
I worked at Best Buy at the time, towards the death of TiVo. Okay,
Yeah.
We bought TiVo.
Like
But
I
it
have a
was like-
TV, but I'm not going to go to Radio Shack to get a new one.
Using a time machine to go to Radio Shack.
Right. That's
Dude.
what I mean. It's the
Wait,
same situation.
Wait, Radio Shack is still in business?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
They're
No,
not.
I think it
That
is.
was my point. Is that it's also something that's no longer relevant.
So you don't want to go to TiVo? Back to TiVo?
The one thing
No.
you said though, Churk, was that some people want to listen to the radio because they want the homerism, but you get that on the television broadcast.
No, you don't.
Yes,
No,
you
you don't.
do.
You get
do.
Rich
Broadcast
Gannon. You
is
get Rich
super homer.
Gannon.
Oh,
No,
Yeah.
most of our games are locally televised. Like we still get our local.
No, we don't get the guys.
dude, if Troy Aikman is calling a Cowboys game, he's going to heavily favor the Cowboys. If it's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo calling a Dallas Cowboys game, Romo's going to be all in favor of the Cowboys. That's just what happens.
What about TiVo?
Jesus
What about
Christ, let's
TiVo?
move on.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, sticking with the Browns. So we kind of touched on this, so I don't know if you want to extend on this, but if you were the Browns GM, so let's say you're Andrew Berry, what would you do in this draft?
Defensive end and wide receiver. That's it.
Yeah.
Game.
Defense.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle at
Or
least
defense.
once.
Yeah.
How about linebacker?
Fill your needs and then the rest go best available. That's what I say.
Yeah, I agree.
Give
All right.
me a defensive tackle, a defensive end, a wide receiver. Then at that moment in time, best player available on your board. If
Yep.
that's a punter, let it be the punt god or the hell his name is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's
Yeah.
his name?
Going to the Carolina Panthers, it looks like they are unlikely to trade for Baker Mayfield during the first half of the draft, and they've informed Sam Darnold that they may draft a quarterback.
The Panthers are a fucking mess. Okay,
God.
let's be real here. Matt Rule was not the guy everyone thought Matt Rule was. I was never a big Matt Rule guy to begin with. Okay, but it's been a train wreck in Carolina during the entire time he's been there. Like,
Yeah.
some of that's not his fault. Like, Carolina and, like, the county where they're building their new training facility had a little falling out. Now it's just going to sit there as abandoned, half-built architecture that's just going to just kind of sit there and disappear like the Soviet monuments of yesteryear. So
I love it.
it's just sit there and rot.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. But the Panthers have to do something at quarterback. Like, Matt Rule, you are the hot seat. You're on it. You are the hot seat.
I agree. I mean, the fact that they're not interested in Baker Mayfield speaks volumes because of all the teams that would do something like that. They're one of them. Yeah, they're interested in drafting a quarterback in a very weak draft class over trading for Baker. So,
And also over keeping Sam Darnold.
Right. Yeah.
Why are they keeping him? Maybe the Browns should get him.
No.
You're
We have a quarterback. Stop with quarterbacks.
They have the starter, they have the backup, they have the third string. Okay.
Right. All three. We're good there.
You guys make it sound like a really I don't know. It's like disgusting hearing another quarterback on the Browns.
Hey, the Browns don't need a quarterback.
They've got three of them. They don't need any more. That's all we're saying.
I feel
Why would you draft
very strange saying that sentence very
The
confidently.
Browns would do something like that.
The old Browns would.
Well, old Browns would not this iteration.
No.
Okay. And I'm saying that as someone who's always skeptical of everything that this Browns organization does and all of the, praise they get on a nonstop basis from certain individuals that I do not care for.
Right.
But anyways, Panthers.
Nobody's eager to trade for Baker Mayfield, though. To answer the question, but
Moving on to the Seahawks part, the Seahawks don't seem to want him.
No,
Yeah.
not one bit.
Not at all. I mean, but nobody wants him.
Nobody wants him. I mean, there was rumors of Kaepernick going to Seattle that had more legs to them than Baker going there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. We're going to be lucky to get anything for him.
At this point, we'd be lucky to get a washing machine for Baker Mayfield.
The only way that they're going to get something is that they eat some of the contract. Okay.
They're going to have to. They're going to have to. Nobody's going to pick up that contract.
They're going to have to eat a significant portion of it to move him because nobody wants to pay him $18 million.
Who, Baker?
Baker. And I was never big on paying him $18 million for this potential season in the first place when they picked up his fifth-year option. So,
right.
And that was after he came off a good season. So,
yeah, he's a guy that's going to be ready for a new contract. It's just a bad situation. Nobody's going to want to bring him in. For a multitude of reasons, and that's what we're seeing. What?
The Browns might.
No, they're not.
We moved on. We have a quarterback. We have three of them.
Sure. Is your mind like back in 2019 or something?
You do know Deshaun Watson's our quarterback, right?
I do, but I sometimes I'm still have some Bakerism still in me. That I still need to get rid of.
What you still think Baker's good?
Maybe not good, but it's possible he could make it.
No, he's not. I've been telling you he's not for a year, Churk. It's gone heavily in my direction of the who's right versus who's wrong meter.
I know it has, but he could use this as motivation.
He'll be highly motivated
my criticism is
for Jeff Fisher, the Michigan Panthers of the USFL. That's where he'll find his motivation.
Yes.
Yeah. James, if this is the right versus wrong meter, it's like this. Whoop.
Yeah, I think that Baker's future lies in a different league. He's perfect for fan-controlled football.
Oh man! Imagine Johnny Manziel on one sideline, Baker Mayfield on the other.
Dream
and they somehow make it so Terrell Owens is all-time wide receiver one.
Yep. Yeah, he's going to end up playing for one of these other leagues, and
he'll play with Josh Gordon.
Maybe. I think Josh
Gordon's still NFL eligible. He could sign with an NFL team.
Right. I think he might too. Honestly, guys are just willing to take chances on people with the build of Josh Gordon. He's just a freak specimen.
Yeah.
Gordon didn't play at all last year, did he?
I think he played for Kansas City.
Yeah, he played for Kansas City.
I know he was on a roster. I don't remember him playing too much, though, if he did.
You missed Josh Gordon on the Browns?
No.
No. Oh, he played
Played with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, he played seven starts, 12 games. That was a very forgettable. 5 catches for 32 yards. That's why I forgot he played for him.
1 touchdown.
Damn. He's averaging a whole 7 yards reception. That's amazing.
6.4.
6.4.
Even less than 7.
Even less.
Yeah.
That's so bad. That is so bad. Especially for a guy that, quote unquote, to average those numbers is terrible.
I mean,
he played in fan control football last year.
Yeah, him and Johnny Manziel were on.
you think Baker could do well?
And Baker will do great in fan controlled football. He'd be one of the better quarterbacks over there, that's for sure.
Yeah, he can go play for the Zappers or the hell that Josh Gordon played for.
Yeah,
Boys.
Was
like
Johnny
that.
Manziel even good in that league?
No,
No.
he sucked. He quit
He
on a
sucked
play.
in that league.
He was terrible. He was bad in that league, and he quit in the middle of the game too. He fumbled a snap, and there was a guy coming up to tackle him, and he literally threw his hands up like this and turned and walked away and quit and never played another down for the Falcons that year.
Why does that feel so right for him?
And then every start of the new fan-controlled football season, they say Johnny's coming back, and then he just doesn't show up. And then they make up some new injury about why he's not playing. But that's what he's done. He's still potentially – they're still marketing him like he's the face of the freaking league. He doesn't play.
Well, it's down between him or 51-year-old Terrell Owens. So
Right, exactly.
He's playing?
Yeah.
Wow.
The quarterback play in the USFL has been dreadful. So I'm sure that, like I said, Jeff Fisher, Michigan Panthers, they'd love to have a guy like
who does he got to beat out at Michigan or in Michigan? Or
Ray Patterson, who already got benched in his first game in the USFL.
All right.
And then I can't remember the name of their other guy.
You think T.O.
I don't freaking know.
Should T.O. make an NFL comeback?
No.
Paxton Lynch.
Paxton Lynch?
He got benched for Paxton Lynch?
Oh.
I didn't know it was for Paxton.
And he was another bust in the NFL, too.
Oh, my God. Ugh. I'm
He was
looking at
just
this
one of those
roster.
guys.
There are a couple names on this roster I recognize. Most notably
Manziel-
Marcus Baugh, formerly of The Ohio State University, tight end.
Do you miss
How about
Johnny
Davion
Manziel?
Smith, who played for the University of Michigan, getting cut by the Pittsburgh iteration of their XFL or USFL team?
Oh,
because
the Pittsburgh Maulers.
He chose pizza instead of salad, and they said, we don't want anybody that's going to choose a pizza over a salad. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was with
Lindsay's kicked him out of Pittsburgh, so he's looking for a job. Sorry, Davion. Shout out to my guy. Howland High School standout. Shout out.
Yeah, that was with the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Yeah. What a joke. What a fucking joke.
You don't like the team name?
Not the team name. I'm saying that whole story is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team name sounds corny.
Yeah, they're all corny.
Yeah.
there's only so many good team names available.
Yeah.
The Maulers is such a generic one, though.
Yeah.
Did you look at the rest of that league? They have ridiculous names.
The Houston Gamblers.
Oh my god. Not the Las Vegas Gamblers.
No, the Birmingham Stallions, the Houston Gamblers, the New Orleans Breakers, Tampa Bay Bandits, Michigan Panthers, New Jersey Generals, Philadelphia Stars, and Pittsburgh Maulers. When are we going to get the Denver Goals? When are they going to make an appearance?
I like Bandits. I like
Bandits
that
is not
name.
bad.
Bandits an okay name.
How
You can do some fun stuff with that.
the logo for the New Orleans Breakers is just a giant wave.
That's what it was back in the day.
Yeah. Like the Tulane Green Wave down there in New Orleans.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out Tulane Green Wave.
I think
Didn't
we
think
need
they
a.
would make an appearance in this week's episode.
I
But
think Justin Gilbert's playing in that league, the fan-controlled league.
I don't know he's done anything regarding anything close to football.
Talk about a guy that got drafted too high.
If he
My God.
would he join this podcast?
I wouldn't have him.
You
There's
wouldn't have.
a better chance of him joining this podcast than there is that him playing another down in the NFL ever again.
yeah,
I agree with
yeah. I agree with James on that.
Have you heard anything about Justin Gilbert since the Browns cut him?
And I thought he got traded to the Steelers.
He did.
Oh, whatever. He got traded to a 2018 sixth rounder. Okay.
Every defensive back we draft, we trade to the Steelers. So I don't know why. That's what we do. We draft DBs and we
Not T.J. Ward.
No, he ended up going to Denver.
Yeah. Denver's another spot they always go to, too. Seems like we have a good business relationship with each team.
Well, if
Speaking
they're
of
going there,
defensive
we don't
backs,
have a good business relationship with them. If they're going to Denver,
Or
Mhm.
Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh's our rival. Why do we have a good business relationship with them?
we don't. For the longest time, there was this kind of circle of death you could circle on the NFL roster transaction, and it involved the following three teams: the Cleveland Browns, the Detroit Lions, and the Oakland Raiders. Those three teams would trade the same players between them, whether they actually traded them, signed, release, sign, release, sign, release. But if you look at this amount of players that played for those three franchises from like 2002 to 2017, you would stop counting at like 100.
The Broncos were with the Browns for a while, too.
Trading partners.
Are you talking about that minute in like the mid 2000s where half our defensive line went to Denver because the Broncos hired the old Browns defensive line coach?
Yes.
That's what happened when they had Courtney Brown and Kennard Lang.
Gerard
and,
Warren.
What was that?
They had Gerard Warren.
Yeah, Gerard Warren too.
Big money.
Big waste of money is what he was.
You miss him. You do remember him, Bryan?
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Did Warren win a Super Bowl with the Patriots? Because I know he went to the Patriots.
I think
he might have.
I'm not sure.
He might have.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And then T.J. Ward too.
No, he didn't. He was on 2010, 2011 New England. They did not win the Super Bowl in either of those years.
Poor money.
What do you guys think about Kyle Hamilton in this draft?
I was going to ask about him earlier.
He's good.
I think a lot of this reminds me of, I don't know if you guys remember this guy. You remember Zibikowski?
Tom Zibikowski. Okay.
Zibikowski. This feels very Zibikowski-esque. Like, did he have an awesome career at Notre Dame? Yes. Like, does he have the measurables? Yes. But, like, I don't know. Something about it. I just don't think it's as much of a slam dunk at the safety position as people think he is. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I think he's another player that teams are probably going to reach to take. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets take it overall because it's the Jets.
I wouldn't be surprised by that either.
You don't think the Jets are? It is the Jets.
Jets are trying to get the Debo rumor to the Jets. Do you guys think that has any legs? Debo to the Jets?
Maybe, but I have no idea.
Will that help
I
him?
think they're giving him a Godfather offer, the old offer that you can't refuse.
Yeah.
They're giving him like $200 million.
I don't know. I don't know what the offer is, but the rumor was before the show started.
You think he's not going
They
to
were
try?
sending him a Godfather offer that was too good to refuse. So we'll
So
see.
is he going to try once he gets to the Jets?
Is he going to try? What?
What?
What are you-
Debo
A lot of-
Samuel? What are you talking about?
A lot of players won't try for the Jets. Le'Veon Bell, when he played for them.
You think people
Le'Veon Bell sat out a year.
professional athletes, Churk, don't go somewhere and not try. They don't try to lose their cares. That doesn't happen.
No, they don't care
I don't know
once
where
they
you
get the
follow
money.
This narrative that
This is what
guys
I'm saying.
listen,
They don't care
try.
once they get the money.
That they still try though. You can't fake it in the NFL. You can't go out there and not try. You'd get hurt bad.
Yeah.
He tried. Sometimes those guys go places and it doesn't work out. That happens. But it's not because he didn't try. It wasn't for lack of effort.
Yeah.
I
I've heard
appreciate that.
accusations about that with James Harden that, like, part of the reason the 76ers are struggling like this is because James Harden is intentionally not trying so that the 76ers fire Doc Rivers and then they hire the coach Harden really wants, Mike D'Antoni.
That's possible.
Because the Mike D'Antoni experience has worked so many times before.
It's also possible that whatever in our drinking water is turning the frogs gay, right, James? That's also
Yeah.
something that's possible.
What?
That's exactly what it is.
It's a conspiracy, is what it is.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No.
But
It's
here's the deal with Debo Samuel. Let's get back on track here. With Debo Samuel, he just doesn't want to be a running back anymore. Okay,
Yes.
That's what it is.
He doesn't want to get paid like a running back either.
That too. He wants to be a wide receiver and get paid like a wide receiver.
Why would he not? When he's seeing the friggin' contracts that these guys are getting at wide receiver, and that's what his issue is right now. Is like, I don't want to be known as this hybrid guy. Like, I want to be known as a number one receiver. And it feels like that means something to him. And
you look at the fucking ridiculous amount of money Christian Kirk got, and it's just like Debo's thinking, I'm better than this fucking clown.
yeah,
All right, I should get more money than him, but I'm not going to if I'm playing running back in San Francisco.
right.
I got to be a wide receiver, and the occasional run's fine, but I can't be carrying the ball as much as I am.
Right. If he's going to run the ball, be used kind of like OBJ has been used throughout his career. You know what I mean? Like, have some gadget plays, some end rounds, things like that. Sure. But you can't rush this guy 10 to 15 times a game and think that his career is going to last.
Right.
You want to get the most out of this guy. And the way to get the most out of him is use him in his natural position, which is wide receiver. So
Right.
If the 49ers want to keep him, they need to just come to terms with that.
Yeah. Here's the problem, though, is I think teams are hesitant to trade for him because they want him to remain that hybrid player. And with him saying, no, I don't want to do that. I want to be strictly a wide receiver. That's why you haven't seen any type of solution in this problem, because Debo is kind of being set in his ways with, no, I don't want to be that hybrid type player. And teams interested are like, no, we want you to be that hybrid player.
There's some of that, I think, some of it, but there's
There
also
might be, but here's all Debo Samuel has to say. I led the league in yards per reception last year. End of conversation.
look at his numbers without
for itself.
his numbers without his rushes. Just take the rushing game out of it. He still had a great year as a wide receiver.
Trust me, I understand that. But I'm saying teams saw what he could do as a hybrid and how effective he was. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think teams think that that's sustainable, though. I think that they look at that and say that that's not going to last. You know what I mean? I don't think that I think it's more common that guys are looking to him as a number one receiver than teams are looking at him let's bring him in to be this gadget player, because they know that it's not sustainable. And I just don't think that that's part of it, in my opinion.
Right.
A very important part of the wide receiver position is being able to avoid big hits. Okay, T.Y. Hilton has made a career out of avoiding big hits.
Yep.
Okay, guess what you're not going to be able to do when you're carrying the ball 59 times? Avoid big hits. That's 59 additional hits you're taking.
Yep.
Let's just say 50. Maybe he ran out of bounds 9 times. Okay,
Right.
so let's just say 50 hits that he's taking that he has no business taking.
Right.
As a wide receiver.
Yeah, they're not coming from 5'8" cornerbacks and 5'10" defensive backs. They're coming from these big, giant defensive linemen and linebackers and guys that you're not used to getting tackled by as a wide receiver. And it's just a great way to shorten his career. It's a great way to put him on the injured list. I don't know. He's great as a gadget player. He had a great year running the ball and catching the ball, but I think that he's better suited to just go wide receiver in the future.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we have about 5 minutes left in the show.
Is LeBron coming back?
LeBron's coming back, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, most likely.
You think so?
LeBron's coming back, yes.
More likely than not.
What makes you guys say that?
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me. Why wouldn't he?
Because that can mess up the team's chemistry.
The goal is to win a title, right?
That's it.
Yes.
That's the goal. 1. 2, he gave 0 fucks about the low ceiling chemistry of the young core Lakers, okay?
He
He went out there, he changed the team to make it as best as it possibly could be, and he did what the ultimate goal was: win a title.
Mm-hmm.
But it was in the bubble.
Back here, he clears out some of the clowns that don't need to be here. Then you go win a fucking title. That's how it goes.
It was in the
Yes.
bubble.
What?
Okay. Does
It
that
was in
make
the bubble.
Churk? Does
Who
winning?
cares?
Still won it.
Wait a second, Churk. Does winning a title in the bubble make it invalid? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think it is. I'm just saying like they had more of an advantage. If it was like with crowds, I think it could have been different.
What?
Bryan agrees with me.
I hear what you're saying. It could have been different had it not been in the bubble. I agree with that because it was different circumstances than we're used to, but it's still an
But
NBA Finals
I
champion.
think the Lakers could have still won it though. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah,
They were
that's
a good team that season.
It kind of felt like destiny for the Lakers to win it that year because of what happened with Kobe, rest in peace, earlier in the year. And
Yeah, that did make a difference.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that. I mean, is it different than other titles have been in the past? Sure. But
There's a
I
good
think
story
at
in
the end of the day, that's what he went to LA to accomplish, was to win a ring there, and he's won it. So now it's what's next. You know, LeBron's always been a guy he looks at his career in like these stages, you know, and I think he's coming up on that moment where it's okay, what's the final chapter going to be? And what better way for him to, you know, to carry out the final chapter of his career than in the place that he's the most beloved, and you know he's got $1 billion friggin' home here. You know he's from here, so
$billion?
so obviously he's gonna get his
Did you say
jersey.
$billion?
it's a joke. It was hyperbole.
Yeah. So obviously LeBron's gonna get his jersey retired by the Cavs. Do you think he gets his jersey retired by Miami?
Miami, yeah.
Absolutely,
Miami, yes.
yeah.
Not
Cavs,
Lakers, though.
yes. Miami, yes.
Lakers?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
I agree.
I think
Yeah,
Anthony
The problem
Davis.
with the Lakers one is he's worn two different numbers. And
right.
he's only been there for 3 years.
They're not going to retire both those numbers. They're not.
That
Gonna,
championship's not going to be that memorable.
Are you kidding, Churk? Do you remember what was happening in the world at the time?
it's almost.
It
It
will
will
be
be
memorable.
Yeah,
I'll take
yeah.
that
If
back.
anything, it stands out as opposed to the other ones. You know, it's like
Yeah.
everybody remembers where they were at in 2020 and what was going on. So
Right.
Yeah. I'll
that
take
legacy
that
of that championship will last longer than a lot of other ones. So
Thanks for
Yeah.
calling me out, James.
I mean, like when LeBron won the Cavs their first championship in franchise history, that title carries a ton of weight because in many people's eyes, it broke the 52-year curse.
Because it did.
And,
did.
and Cleveland came together. I remember that. That was such a great time.
we were the champions.
Yes,
We could be the champions again, and that's why I say you bring LeBron home.
I agree.
But what about that chemistry?
What
Oh,
about it? In what way would LeBron not fit in with those guys? Like
He's going to
play with
stunt some
those
girls
guys.
and they're going to be mad at him.
he could play with Evan Mobley. He could play with Darius Garland. He could play with Jared Allen.
Yeah,
Colin
Like-
Sexton?
No,
Oh, no, if you were Colin Sexton and Chetty
Yeah.
Osman and Isaac Okoro and Laurie Markkinen, how terrible.
Wait.
Oh,
all right.
I
Let
like
me ask you this.
Okoro.
I
I like
saw
Okoro.
Let me see if I can pull this up. I
And
just
what
saw-
about Kevin Love, too? Do you keep him?
Kevin Love stays.
yeah.
I saw
Jeez.
a hypothetical trade. It was like the Cavs get DeJounte Murray and I think a pick or something, and in exchange the Cavs trade Sexton, Okoro, and a couple other picks.
I wouldn't take that.
Yeah, I saw this hypothetical trade too. Hold on.
I think we should bring back Andre Miller.
What?
How old is Andre Miller now? He's got to be like 55.
You know who that is, Brian?
I know who Andre Miller is. He used to be the point guard for the Cavs.
Or DeJuan Wagner?
I remember DeJuan Wagner too. He had a 100-point game in high school.
Or Ramon Sessions?
Remember, what are we doing here? Are we just playing the name game?
I think it seems like it.
It's a minute to kill.
We
All
have
right.
a minute to kill, so this is a good time to do final thoughts. Does anybody
Okay,
have-
wait. Stanley Cup final predictions.
Who cares? The Penguins are dead. Ari's out. We're going to lose in the first round.
Columbus Blue Jackets.
Columbus isn't going to make the playoffs, so no, they can't.
I'm going with the Penguins, of course, because I'm a homer and I love the Penguins, but we stink. We're going to get beat in the first round. I think we're lucky to win 2 games in whatever series we end up matching up in. And for that reason, I don't give a fuck. Fuck the Lightning. Fuck all the rest of them. But I just don't care.
Okay.
Penguins are no one. That's it. That's my opinion.
I agree with you on that one, but I'm still going to make a pick anyway. I am going to say, how about, I like this one. Carolina, St. Louis.
Okay. I like the Panthers. If I had to pick a team right now, I think I'd pick the Panthers. Tampa to three-peat is a very possible.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Stamkos had a great year, but we are about to go over on time, and nobody's going to stick around later to listen to hockey talk. So
No.
That's all I got.
The streaming gods are saying we got to go with these glitches.
Yeah, we should get going. We're having sorry for the technical difficulties, but we will see you next week to talk more NFL draft, more football, and more just sports in general and whatever other shenanigans come up on the show.
Go listen to Guarding the Corner. This is Believe One podcast. Anywhere podcasts are found. Also, read the Sports Room and follow Unger the Max and Churk Berserk and on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes. All links will be in the description of this video.
See you guys.
And on this podcast.
Good show, boys. Talk to you later.
All right.